Kia ora, my name's Caitlin Turner and this is my DCL 2 assignment on implementing e-portfolios. Currently, my school implements e-portfolios in Year 3 to 8. As an outsider coming in, I see e-portfolios as a positive tool, even in the junior school, and my goal is to implement them in Year 1 to 2. Some of the reasons for this are the celebration of learning. Revit 2009 talks about how in a very short space of time technologies have risen. There's so many tools out there now that we can use, and these help us to celebrate achievements of an individual, whether it be preschool all the way to tertiary education or even within our jobs. Feedback. Hattie and Timperley 2007 explain the power of feedback. When applying the concepts of how teachers should be providing feedbacks, I believe that e-portfolios can overcome many barriers with it. The age level that I teach cannot read feedback and it often goes above their heads. E-portfolios are a bridge as we can use various tools to provide feedback to students such as audio or video. Students can then replay and reflect on comments. Through the digital nature of e-portfolios, teachers have the opportunity to provide feedback and feed forward in different ways. This could be in a traditional written manner too. I think that this type of feedback is going to be far more empowering for my learners. Brace et al. 2008 talked about the power of communication between parents and school. I think that e-portfolios are such a powerful tool. It's not about just sending a paper portfolio home once a term or a couple of times a year. They have access to their child's learning anytime, anywhere, and this is also very empowering for students. Something that's very important to me is the promotion of digital literacy and skills, even with children at a young age. I think sometimes teachers doubt what children are capable of. Banks 2004 defines e-portfolios as being a record of student work including achievements, goals and reflections. I think that sometimes we underestimate the power of Web 2 tools and how these can promote digital literacy. Lifelong learning. So the New Zealand curriculum talks about confident, connected and actively involved lifelong learners. An e-portfolio is likely to be an integral part of this journey towards that goal. It can assist in the development of key competency skills and provide evidence of students' growing development. It will assist teachers to personalise learning and better prepare students with the skills that they need to live in the 21st century. So something that I'd like to clarify is what I actually did. Initially in DCL 1, I talked about implementing e-portfolios, and as I've actually started working at this school, I've come to realise that they have a pretty good system in place. It wouldn't be a change, it would just be me following the guidelines that the school had already set up. After talking about it with the principal, I've kind of taken a new direction. At the moment we use Ultranet as our school website and a base for e-portfolios, and we're moving to use Google Apps for Education. Teachers already use this for their planning and emails, etc. From my experience at my last school, I have run workshops and I had started to use Google Sites. Now I proposed to my principal that I compare with parents the use of both of these platforms. Which one is more easy for a parent to use? Which is more accessible? I want to share the information I found with him, and this might ignite some change. So really I had to reassess the purpose. Hartnell and Young talks about the concept of purpose for an e-portfolio. You have to think about, is it for celebrating personal planning, transition, professional register? Like, what are we looking at here? Or is it going to be capturing and storing evidence? I can see it going two ways. It could be a repertoire of assessment information, progress tracking, that's more for a teacher with a bit of student voice, or it's going to be a very creative space that students are very actively involved with. My vision is looking at it like Story Park, used in many early childhood institutions, and it's a celebration of success, but within that we also utilise assessment information and make this available to parents. So I selected 2 students in my class that had no older siblings at the school, so their parents had no experience with e-portfolios at the school before. I created an e-portfolio for them using the system the school had set up through Ultranet, and then also an e-portfolio in Google Sites. I then followed the school guidelines about what had to be in that portfolio, and I put a couple of things in it just to start off, and I made these accessible to the parents. I asked the parents to think about some of the pros and cons of using both of these platforms and then feed back to me on what they thought. So first we looked at Ultranet pros and cons. Some of the pros that came up were the easy to follow structure. One of the parents found it very easy to log in with the username and password that was given to them. They found that it was nice that they could download pieces of work and keep them. They could leave comments. Some of the cons were that it was slow. One of the parents couldn't leave comments and had difficulty logging in. And also they found it difficult to share this portfolio with other family members. We then had a look at the Google Site pros and cons. They said that it was easy to access when the link was shared to them via email. They found it easy to navigate like a web page. They had access to their child's work and assessment. They had the ability to leave comments, and they could easily share the link with other family members to view the child's learning. Some of the cons were that some had access issues, they weren't familiar with Google Apps, and one of them couldn't view on a smartphone. They needed help to download the apps to support viewing for Google Docs, etc. Here I've just collated some of the feedback from parents. So, after this experience, I feel like it hasn't been as in-depth as I would have liked due to the time of year, etc. But this is something I'm definitely going to keep pushing for, and I'd like to carry on in comparing the 2 platforms. I really like this quote from Barrett 2009 talking about the purpose of an e-portfolio, and this will help you to select appropriate tools. For me, I would personally use Google, as I believe that it has more of an ability to be creative, whereas the Ultranet, though it's following school guidelines, it's very straightforward and it's like folders. It's not creative and it doesn't reflect a child at all. Yeah, I hope that this has been what has been expected of me, but yes, it's definitely opened my mind and it's made me look at a change initiative a bit differently too. At the start I was looking at implementing something, and it turns out it was more about looking at what was already there and making it better. So here are just some of my reflections or reflective questions. Something that's popped up from this whole experience is staff support and how I can share my knowledge with staff that aren't confident in using e-portfolios. And I would really like to continue to develop and compare these 2 platforms, and I need to consider how I can share this with my leadership team. I'm new to the school and I don't want to rock the boat, but keep in touch. I'm sure that I'll make a change.